Blog Talk Radio.
But we are making a stand, and we're waking everybody up that 9/11 was an inside job. And you are the minority. You are the cowards who don't know the truth. You're the people that serve this evil system. You're the people that serve a system that hurts innocent men, women, and children. Not just Iraqis, not just Afghans, not just Africans, but the people right here in this nation. You serve a new world order that attacks and feeds on you. And I'm here to tell you that you will be defeated. Your hours are numbered. We've got the energy. We've got the life force. All you've got is evil backing you up. All you've got is greed and liking to look at yourself in the mirror. Because deep down, the New World Order is a pot-bellied, chicken-necked ninny. And all the armor and all the weapons are nothing. You are nothing compared to good. You are nothing compared to life. And you will be defeated. I want the individuals out there, I want free humanity to turn themselves loose, to cut the chains loose, and to use the end of that chain to slap the New World Order right upside the head. You've got the power. You want to know who's going to defeat the New World Order? It is you. You're the individuals that are going to be able to defeat this system. You're the individuals that are going to be able to take down the New World Order. It doesn't matter if Ron Paul wins. It doesn't matter if they rig the election. What matters is that we're starting to stand up. We're starting to move. We're starting to find our legs. We're starting to build our muscle. We're starting to realize that we do have power, and we can work together, and we can take action, and that the naysayers are a pack of weak liars who have never had any successes in their life and who are upset and frustrated to see us beginning to have victories against tyranny. They don't have any respect for themselves. They don't have any vision, and they don't have any will. And they sure don't have any of the power that shines out of God's soul and energizes all life in the universe. They have wed themselves to death, and they will crumble, and they will fall, and for eternity we wed ourselves to life, and to everything good, and everything that flows from it.
All right, everybody, Joseph Gibson here, podcasting live with the Republic. Every Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the Republic on this podcast show where we broadcast worldwide and let you interact with the Republic. And sometimes we have some very special guests. And tonight we're going to bring out some guests. And I want to say hello to the people out there that are listening in Florida. They're at the Air Force Base down there. My friend Tim and his buddies are listening. That's great. We got a couple other places around the country. Of course, regulars out there at Fort Hood there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the text. Let me know that you're out there listening, because tonight we have a very special guest, Lieutenant Colonel Air Force Army instructor Sandy Mariaki, I believe. And first, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Henning from the Republic, and then Jim Carpenter from the Free State of Colorado. Go ahead, Mr. Henning.
Thank you, Joe, very much for allowing us to use this platform here tonight. For restoring your republic, America. Welcome, America. This is for you, for all we the people. Go to republicforunitedstatesofamerica.org and educate yourself. Governor Carpenter, what do you have for us this evening?
Thank you, Governor Henning. Thank you, Joseph. And I also want to give a shout-out to the old gator, to David Broadhurst with For the People Radio 101. Thank you for joining in again. Welcome back, my friend. Tonight we have a special evening. We've been following retired Lieutenant Colonel Sandy Mariaki in her journey and what she's been through. And she had a very interesting year summation newsletter that a few privileged people got to participate in, but I'm sure there was many that weren't recipients of that. And so we kind of thought we'd pick up from that vantage point and do a recap with you, Sandy, as to what you've been up to last year and then where you're headed this year. And welcome to the show, Sandy.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very honored to be here.
So, were you still teaching at the Air Force Academy a year ago?
I was, actually. It's just about the anniversary of their harassment and discrimination against me. The whole thing, in a couple of sentences, I was an instructor of physics and chemistry at the Air Force Academy's preparatory school, which is associated with the Academy directly. And I refused to take the shots. As a federal civilian, I shouldn't have needed to. And then I watched the military break multiple federal laws in August of 2021 when they forced all their military people to take an experimental emergency use authorized shot. Even though there was an FDA approval, there was no actual product available to anybody. So when they were forcing this shot on everybody or get kicked out or disciplined, they broke every federal law regarding experimenting on anyone. So everyone in the military became guinea pigs. I knew what was going on. My students, some of them knew what was going on, and they were asking me for help. And so I told them, well, don't you know about the religious exemptions and the medical exemptions? And they said, no, ma'am, all we were told was get the shots or get kicked out. So in other words, they were also denied due process under the law. So I helped the students, the ones that asked me for help, and got in trouble for that apparently because it was supposedly up to the chain of command to do that. Well, the chain of command was actually coercing the kids to take the experimental shots, and so, of course, they needed to cover up their crimes, and that's when they started to discipline me. Well, I wasn't having any of it. I already had a very strong legal team full of patriots and Christians, and so we fought back. Then roll around to November, now I get my mandate, and I tell them that I can't, it's an illegal order, and not only that, but I must report you now to the authorities. So I filed my first Inspector General complaint at the end of November. I rescinded that complaint because the office that I was filing it with at the Air Force Academy said that it was probably best because it crossed multiple jurisdictions and probably something would get lost. So I said, all right, I'll go ahead and redo it. So I actually redid those at the beginning of January. Well, that's also the same time when I was called into the office because I refused to do a mask. And also for testing, which is also emergency use and experimental. So to mandate anything experimental is, of course, very against the law. So I told them, no, I'm not doing it. You're giving me an illegal order. And so then they relieved me of duty. Sorry, this is turning into more than a few sentences. And forbid me from coming on campus, which is, of course, what they contracted me to do. So now we're in breach of contract. And then eventually they put me on administrative leave and proposals for disciplinary action. And then suddenly everything switched in March, and they said, oh, the mandates are gone, and we need you to come back to the academy and teach. Like, yeah, I know, because you have no one else to teach, and so that's what you're doing. So then the kids graduated. Everything was fine. I had no problems teaching at all. And the whole reason why I'm at the academy is for the kids and for the job. So now in the summertime, they hit me with a proposal for firing. And so I'm trying to think, well, what would they fire me for between the time when they brought me back until now? Well, now they start to lie. They actually make stuff up. They say stuff like, Sandy said she wanted to bring a weapon on base or something like that. I'm like, yeah, right. That's what I would say. And so they got me out. They fired me on total lies, which was conduct unbecoming a federal civilian. I didn't even know that was a thing, but apparently it is. And that was the end of that. And that was September of 2022. And I was very relieved to finally be rid of those people. But the students kept asking me for help, and I kept helping them because no one in the chain of command was actually doing their job like they said that they would. So apologies for the long summary, but that's essentially what brought us to the end of my civilian career with the Air Force in September.
Well, it was a long and distinguished career. And thank you so much for your service and all your contributions. It's greatly appreciated, and we need more people like you to stand up and to do the right thing. You've been very active behind the scenes also in our Colorado State political scene over on the eastern side around Colorado Springs and Pueblo, Denver area. And you've attempted to bring a number of different patriot groups to the table over the course of time. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've done there and where that's headed?
Sure. So I was completely asleep and wanted nothing to do with the government or politics or anything because I knew it was 100% corrupt, and I just hoped that it wouldn't implode the country. Well, March 13th of 2020, when we sent our cadets home for the flu, or what looked like the flu at that moment, I knew something was wrong. And so I essentially gave up all my hobbies on that day, 2 hours per night, researching, reading medical journals, because I taught myself how to, essentially I gave myself a medical degree by reading all the textbooks and stuff when I was trying to fix my own health problems caused by vaccine injury in 1992 during my military career. I still don't know to this day what it was that they gave me because it's not in my records. So after March of 2020, when so-called COVID was starting in the country, I dove into everything. Then we had the fraudulent election in November of 2020, and by December of 2020, when nothing was being done about it, I realized that we were in deep trouble. And so I started to join every single patriot group I could get my hands on. Around October of 2021, I was working, of course, I started actually, my first patriot group was People's Rights with Ammon Bundy in Idaho. It's a national group now. I was introduced to our state assistant, I guess it's called, in People's Rights, and he was a mutual friend of you and I. And that's when you and I were introduced for the first time. And we had a very long conversation on the telephone where I always affectionately call it, you were throwing out zingers. You're throwing out sentences with facts of stuff that I had never heard, couldn't believe, and was typing as fast as I could to get this information down so I could research it all later. And of course, in researching it, I found out that pretty much everything you said was true. So that was my introduction to the Republic, was that phone call. And then ever since then, it's been an educational process, getting more involved, helping where I could. And then you approached me with the possibility of becoming a House representative for the Colorado Free State. And we started that paperwork about 2 months ago, I guess, in general, the principle. And then I finally took the oath this past week. So I am now officially Representative Sandy Marecki of the Colorado Free State.
Well, congratulations, Sandy. Welcome aboard. You know how much we appreciate you and are glad that you joined us. And this is kind of your coming out party for all those people that have been following the video you've done on how to save America and the followers you've made over the years through your many involvements. And, I don't know a better voice for the people than you are and what you represent. So thank you for coming on board.
Well, I appreciate that. I would like to extend an invitation to everyone listening right now that has any inklings at all about trying to save their country. Please come forward and talk to the leadership of the Republic. We have several states that don't have full membership in the Republic, and we need volunteers with patriotic hearts and willing to do the work that's needed to take this country back from the corruption that has overtaken it.
Since you've released that video on Rumble, Sandy, we've noticed an increase in our traffic and in our book sales and so on and so forth. And I do believe that you're making a difference, and people are stepping up, and you are creating a real following. and appreciate your leadership. And I'm sure that anyone who wants to get involved, there's many avenues through Sandy, through myself, through the questions on the Republic for the United States of America.org website. You can go to contact us, sign up for emails, and get involved. And we're looking for Christian leaders willing to toe the line and be who they say they are. And wow, what a great evening. We have quite a panel with us tonight.
Sorry. I was just going to say I appreciate your kind words. That video was something that, as I was learning more and more about the Republic, it seemed like there was a simple way to explain it to the people, and I felt compelled to do that, and so that's why I put that video together. You're right, it has taken on a little bit of a life of its own, and I'm getting emails from folks because I put my email address in the video, which I'll also give here, that they say, thank you, such and such forwarded it on, and I have no idea who they're talking about, so I know it's been forwarded on so many times that I've lost the trail of where it came from, which is awesome. That means that people are enjoying it, understanding it, etc. So my email, in case anyone would like to contact me and get out pencil and paper, is sandy10m@yahoo.com. SANDY10M as in Mary @yahoo.com. And I look forward to hearing from anyone that has any questions or comments or pretty much anything, even if someone needs help with an exemption or a particularly sticky situation with the mandates or whatever. I can do whatever I can, or at least put people in contact with the ones that do know how to handle that situation. So thank you for your words.
Awesome. Thank you, Sandy. The Hurtlers were privileged to have Gene and David Hurtlers, authors of Re-Inhabited, books 1 and 2. Welcome. Glad to see you could join us tonight.
We're so happy to be here.
So, what do you have to share with Sandy tonight and the American people, there, Gene?
Oh, thank you so much, Governor Carpenter. I'm so thrilled to hear this dynamic patriot, and I don't know that I could give full expression for a woman that doesn't lack for words, to find the right words after 12 years in serving God and country to a full extent of my oath of my life, my fortune, and my sacred honor. My husband and I both committed that back in December 2010 when we learned that our country was being restored by this Restore America plan, and that the American Republic had been secretly put in dormancy back in the Civil War era, and then this corporate democracy went forward masquerading as the Republic. There were many things we did not know and began to hear, and it bore witness in my heart, and I knew this huge compelling in my heart. I could not disregard it. I had to follow that, and I did, and so did my husband. And it's been an amazing journey. It's been a path that we could never have imagined in ourselves, of where we've been and what we've learned with the people that we've crossed paths with both good and bad, and how we've held forth as a remnant. If you are familiar with what President Trump went through, on how he was tarnished, slandered, the horrible attacks that he went through, we together in the Republic went through that too. And it's a miracle. It truly is a supernatural, divine miracle that we were able to hold this together as the forces of hell came out to take us apart. But those that stood, those that remained, are faithful. They are true patriots. They meant their oath of their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. And all of us have given it all for this cause. And so to see a patriot like this come across, we have, and so many of you, I'm sure, have such a high regard for our military. And for many years, those are, for those of us of the baby boomer generation, we're grandmas and grandpas, those are our sons and daughters. Those are our grandsons and our granddaughters. That stands with our flag, Old Glory. And to have someone with a military background, and not only that, an extremely accomplished individual, a pilot, a fighter pilot, a PhD in physics, particle sciences, that taught at the Air Force Academy, that loves her country, that is brilliant, that is passionate, that too has given an oath to the Constitution of the United States of America and has laid down her life and has stood up in the face of evil and said, I will stand, and I will also stand for these kids, for those that want to serve our country in the same way. I can't tell you how much that means to me after this many years and long hours and hard work and a labor of love to have, if I could say fresh blood come across to pick up that baton of liberty. And liberty goes forth as a baton. It gets passed from generation to generation. And if we miss a generation, we're in trouble. And we've missed a few generations in there, but by divine grace, we're holding that baton. And we're pleading to you listeners to jump on board and to help us. And Sandy, thank you. You're a blessing. You're a blessing from heaven above. And so that's what I would say. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you, Gene. Do I hear you, David?
Yes, this is David. I'm honored to be on this program with Sandy. I almost want to cry. We thought we were going to pursue a ministry up in northern Wisconsin, so we bought this house, and we closed on it December 1st, and we found out about the Republic on December 10th of the same month. Jean came home from the chiropractor, and she said, guess what? America's been restored. And I didn't know what to do with that statement. And I walked in the house, and I said, I can speak in front of people, but I don't know anything about government. So I started memorizing Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death by Patrick Henry. We had state meetings at a Mead Hotel in kind of the center of the state of Wisconsin. And we were talking about, if we could afford it, we were talking about getting 72, we have 72 counties in the state of Wisconsin. If we could get 72 sheriffs to come to the meet and put them up overnight and be able to give them who we are and what our intentions are, that's what we we're talking about doing. But of course it never happened. But we kept going with our state. We kept going. One of the things that we did is we took out a senator for dinner, he and his wife, and one of the last things he said after about 2.5, 3 hours of conversation while we ate, he said, have you ever seen The Wizard of Oz? And I said, well, I don't know how many times I've seen it. And he looked at me, he said, well, it's all in there. What we're going through, it's all in that movie. Then he asked me if I ever saw the movie The Matrix. And so I believe in my discernment, I believe that Sandy Mariaki, I believe that through circumstances and through the governor from Colorado calling and having a great conversation with her, I believe that she entered in and swore in as a representative for the state of Colorado I believe this was all orchestrated by God. And I believe that, Sandy, you are a leader of leaders. And I believe Dean and I are praying now that God would take us down a different street, a different avenue. And we are going to be praying for you, Sandy, because you are a leader of leaders. We are praying that God would intervene in your life to come up with solutions, to come up with ideas, to lead us in this great quest, to be able to turn this country right side up, that righteousness would exalt this nation again as it did back during the Founding Father era. We are honored. We are so privileged and honored to have you as a representative in the state of Colorado. We just applaud you. We're just honored to have you with us. And I believe God is going to use you in a tremendous dynamic way to lead us down the road that where maybe somebody thought something, but they didn't know how to articulate it. They didn't know how to express it. And I believe that you're the one that God is going to use to articulate and to bring us into a capacity where we can turn this country right side up. And so with that, I'm honored to be on this program with you. Thank you. I yield the floor back to you, Governor.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Justice Waters, good evening, sir. How are you tonight?
Doing well. You know, I'm sitting here listening to what David is saying, and Sandy, I'll put it this way. If you play a sport and you view the films of the game that you just played, you can look at that film and go, that right there, that's the play, changed the game. That one play changed the tide. Momentum shifted because of that play. And I believe that last year was a momentum shift that took place in the heavens. I believe that last year we in the Republic saw a lot of things that didn't look good for what we want, but those things have to take place in order for what we do want to happen. The government that's corrupt doesn't just fall because it wants to fall. It falls because of things that it does. And I believe right now we're looking at things that it is doing that's going to start the downfall of that government. They're going to crumble from within. In the Republic, we need leadership, not somebody to just sit in a seat and wait, but we need somebody who has life experience in leading people. Well, that's you. Your military background. Anybody that served in the military can lead. You've done it while you were in the military, whether you know it or not, but you did. You're trained. That's just part of it. You've been in, and not only that, but you taught at a major military installation. We are so happy that you're with us. We're happy that you are on our side and not theirs. And we're happy that you are standing with us. Because right now it's just a view across the field of battle. But it's going to become a dog-eat-dog war before it's over. And the strong are going to survive. And the way we in the Republic view that, only the strong have the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Everybody else is weak. And we have that God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's our law form, our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, our Declaration, all come from his Word. It all stems from his Son, Yeshua. It all happens because he wanted it in this particular point in time in history, and we're here. We have to be ready for when that charge comes. That charge, I really believe, is going to take place this year. Too many things line up. We're at that moment in time. The game changer is about to take place. And we're thankful that you're here because you have a lot to do with the play that changed everything for us. Just your presence, your understanding, and now we understand the knowledge that you have. What the future lays, nobody knows. But we need somebody who can go to the military and talk their lingo that they understand. I've been out of it too long. That's you. You're going to serve more than just a representative, believe me. God put you here for a reason. He put all of us here. We're not getting people that just, haphazardly want to do this. This is a life-changing event that we went through to be here where we're at. We were chosen. We didn't volunteer. God chose us before we even came out of the womb. And that's who we are. We're warriors. You and I have been in the military. Physically, we fought battles. We did those things. Now it's changing over to a spiritual battle. And I believe that this republic this year is going to fight and fight vigorously in the spirit realm. And we're going to see the corporation do something it's never done. And that's crumble. So thank you for being here, Sandy. Thank you for being you. And I also counted a pleasure to stand side by side with you to fight a bitter enemy, one that wants to destroy everything that is good and everything that God stands for. And we are the ones tasked to stop it. Governor, I yield back to you.
Thank you, Justice Waters. Governor Henning.
Yeah, I got a question here, Governor.
What's that, Joe?
All right. Well, down there in Florida, they had sent me a question for Sandy, and they have the problem is that they're seeing also the frustration of the general public out there and the frustrations that we're having with this current CEO we have for the District of Criminals there, Joe Biden, and them not protecting the borders, the no bail reform that they're doing across the country, where people are becoming victims of crimes, where these Soros prosecutors, over 75 prosecutors across the country were elected with George Soros' money, and they have an agenda, and that's to destroy the moral fabric and the foundations of our republic, and we have to stop it. And the people are frustrated and their hands are tied and they don't know where to go, so they're calling upon the military now, as I'm hearing from this call here tonight and from talking to many people in the military across the country, that, look, people want some sort of intervention. They're throwing their hands up. They're tired of it. So where do we go from here? I mean, Sandy, obviously, she takes a step forward. We need more people across the country. We need people in every single state. We need the militia to stand up, the able-bodied militia members out there to stand up. And not talk about the backwoods people. We're talking about the people in our town halls, in our cities across America that are just being silent, in our churches that are just being silent. We need our church pastors to stand up and not just preach on Sundays and go to the collection pot on Wednesday to collect the money. We need them out there interacting with the community, saying, what it was our idea. America is an idea that has not burnt out yet, and an idea whose time has come. No army can stop. So we have to get involved today. We all have to get involved and do something, whether it's standing in line at a grocery store, talking to the drugstore clerk, whatever it is. We have to fire up our neighbors and become more involved together, not individually doing our own thing. We don't need any more leaders out there. We need people to take individual leadership in their community. So, Sandy, and with the Republic now, you said people are coming, more traffic is coming to the Republic's website. What can the Republic also do, or what can the people do to serve the Republic better? Or in Sandy's opinion, if you don't mind me asking.
Well, I think the biggest issue right now is that after the amazing successes that the Republic had in the 2010 to 2015 time frame, we need to rebuild. And it's getting the word out. And the easiest way to do that is to send out the link to my video on Rumble, which is titled How to Save America, Re-Inhabited Republic. So it's really easy to find. Probably just put in Re-Inhabited Republic or maybe even my last name. Although I do have quite a few other videos on there with my name, so that might be harder. But Re-Inhabited Republic and my last name, and it probably should show up. And if you share that link with the friends, especially the ones that are just now waking up and figuring out that something huge is going on and that everything we know has been a lie, I think that's where we can start building. If everyone signs up on the website and we can get up to the 30,000 people on the website for each state, then each state can have its own election and can start the process of re-inhabiting the republic within the states and the counties. That's where we have to start, is at the lowest level. You know, we're not asking people to step up and be president of the republic or anything like that, but just to be school board members and sheriffs and whatever else you come up with, the lowest level stuff, and get involved. I had zero idea that I would ever be doing what I'm doing right now. I thought I would just be teaching physics at the Air Force Academy and having a pretty simple life and some hobbies. But I also feel like I'm making up for lost time, for having, in a sense, ignored my country all the way until March 13th of 2020. And so I kind of feel like I'm trying to catch up a little bit. So maybe I'm overachieving a little with my efforts, but maybe other people feel the same way. And talk yourself out of it and say, well, I have no knowledge or experience in such things. But it doesn't matter, because you will be given the guidance that you need if you just have faith. So if you feel that in your heart that something like that is being laid before you, then it's time to take it and run with it and get people to help you along the way. That's really where we're at right now.
And anyone who wants to interact with Sandy here tonight live on the phone at 657-383-0616, press 1 on your phone, and you're unscreened, uncensored. We'll connect you on with the Republic and with Sandy and many other people listening from the Air Force, the Air Force base down there in Florida. Thank you for listening. I appreciate the questions there that you emailed me, and, of course, other members of the military. And that's what we need to spark out there. We have to have this spark. And like I said, we're calling upon all people. Jim or Mr. Henning, I don't know if you've got any callers, anybody who pressed 1. Remember, it's unscreened, uncensored. Just hit 1 on your phone if you want to interact or if you have an idea how to better your republic. This is your country. It's your time. Don't stay silent now and regret it later, because your ideas matter, and when what you have to say matters. Mr. Henning or Jim?
Go ahead, Dean.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, I don't see anybody waving their hand here on the board. So, America, go to republicforunitedstatesamerica.org. There you can go to public notices, and right there you can see How to Save America. That's Lieutenant Colonel Sandy Mariaki's video. It's truly amazing. She's boiled, I think, Dave and Jean Hertler on the call tonight. I have great love for them and respect for them, to humbly watch them toil away for 3.5, 4 years writing the books, Volume 1, Volume 2. Volume 1 is The Truthful History of America, and the other one is the Story of the Restoration of America. You can go to many places to order those books, like Barnes & Noble and reinhabitedrepublic.com. Go to the
we got a caller
website.
here. We got a caller here, Mr. Henning, that got their hand up, area code 305. And then if Mr. Also, I got a couple pastors on the phone line here tonight too. Hopefully, if they can press 1 and share their thoughts about the Republic and about the status of our country and what they see, I would appreciate it, because I know they're on the line here tonight. But we got 305 here who wants to come on. Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Henning. Go ahead there, 305.
Hey, Joe. Hello to everybody with the Republic. This is Michael with the righteousarmy.org and thebigvirushoax.com. I was listening in last week. Sometime back, I had indicated I was going to, do a video reading the Declaration of Sovereign Intent, just for the benefit of people. But a few weeks back, I had heard Sandy mention that there is a reading of it. If she could clarify that? Is there, in fact, a video where somebody has taken the time to read it?
Yeah, Mike, this is Dean. You can go to republicforunitedstatesofamerica.org, and you go to Interim Records, and there you'll see a Declaration of Sovereign Intent, and you can listen to Kelby Smith read the Declaration of Sovereign Intent, and also Gene Hertler read the Proclamation of Claim of Interest. It's right on the website.
Oh, great. Yeah, I just wanted that to be clarified because, with everything I was doing, I never got around to reading it. If anybody recalls, there was a point where I was trying to get ink from my printer, so that I could print it out and read it. But when I had heard that mentioned, I just want to make it, I could still do it, but there's really no need if you guys have a reading of it. I just think it's a good idea to always kind of throw it out there that there is a reading, because a lot of times people aren't necessarily going to take the time to read it, and if they know they can listen to it, that would be a good thing. And then I was also going to say on what you were discussing earlier, again, just for the record, right, just for your listeners, over the last, several months, and I've brought this up maybe in some of your radio shows in the past, I've brought it up in a lot of videos, the fact that there's a lot of different groups out there that are taking, and you all, even James Carpenter has, alluded to the fact that, there's a lot of cogs in the wheel, and there's a lot of people, that are all doing their part, in different areas, that are many who are part of the Republic without even knowing about the Republic, in the sense that they're doing what they can to try to do the right thing to restore a constitutional, government in our nation that has been hijacked, obviously, by communism, by the true communism, by the New World Order, one world government agenda. So to the extent that, I think it would be good also to, from time to time, just make that announcement for the many people that are out there doing the assemblies, with the Anna von Reitz movement, for the many people out there that are, fond of David Straight, right, and feel that they're doing their part to declare, their status as not being a subject of the crown, so to speak, or being, a 14th Amendment slave, which, again, Sandy does a great job of presenting that reality in her video, which I threw out there myself to the best that I could on multiple platforms and multiple social media sources, and I put her video on the homepage of our website at righteousarmy.org as well. She did a great job with that video. It's very helpful and insightful. The word out for you guys to maybe often try to remember to put it out there that there is that audible version that people can listen to, the sovereign intent, as well as, to extend the, handout to those that are with, because even though Anna von Reitz is the most probably popular or well-known, David Straight is extremely well-known as well. There are, from what I understand from multiple sources, a good 15 million Americans right now who have declared themselves as American nationals and
wow.
Stepped back from, coming to recognize that they were 14th Amendment citizens under a corporation and have submitted their declaration of status in opposition to that to establish
and Mike,
that they are
and Mike,
American
I've got a 307 here number that wants to get in here too, but don't go away, Mike. I don't want people waiting too long. I'm trying to get as many people on the queue here as possible. 307, go ahead. You're
sure.
live. Area code 307. Area code 307. You're unmuted. Let me mute you. Hang on. Let me unmute him and mute him again if I can. Go ahead. There, 307. You're live. Go ahead.
Pleasure to be here with y'all. John Pennington, Governor of Free State, Wyoming, Shoshone, Wyoming. Pleasure to be with you all.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, good evening, John.
Tell us what's
Thanks for
going on out
joining
there in
us.
Wyoming. Tell us what's going on out there in Wyoming, and tell us and talk about Wyoming or anything you could offer to the platform here tonight. And you heard Sandy here talking, and you heard Mike down there from Florida from the righteousarmy.org. And we have to build a righteous army of people out there across America, and we have to rebuild the. I've been with the Republic since 2009, 2010. I remember when it started out from the Restore America plan and the Guardians of the Free Republic. I remember starting out there. I remember getting the emails, and then we had the grand jury, the grand jurors across the country, all 50 states. And I remember the heyday of the Republic and whatnot, but we failed. We because we were attacked by the Obama administration, and many people even lost their lives, went to prison. And we could expect that again. And we see that happening, and people being singled out across the country and individual platforms now. And you post one silly thing on Facebook now, they're flashbanging your house and hauling you off to the gulag. So, and that's why I said tonight we have to declare war against the New World Order. We're declaring war against the New World Order, us Christians, us Bible-believing Christians out there that have faith in our republic, have faith in our country, and believe that we can have an awakening. So from Wyoming there, can you reiterate or tell us about your position with the Republic and tell us what's going on out there, please?
Sure. Been actively trying to acquire this position for some time now, and with the help of my good friend and patriot, James Carpenter, I finally have been sworn in as such, governor of the free state of Wyoming. I'm proud to say the current state of affairs is somewhat dismal. The leftists are quietly infiltrating the Senate and Congress of our legislature, and the simple fact is that people are completely unaware of what's going on, and they're just happy to believe that somebody there is going to take care of all the business. But little do they know that the free state of Wyoming, or Wyoming in general, is simply another domino set to fall. Our current governor, Mark Gordon, is a Manhattanite, and how he ever became the governor of this state, let your imagination run. It's impossible that Mark Gordon, who is a spoon-fed baby from the Gordon Mustard Trust, has become our governor, and he's on his second term. He's a total globalist, and I can't expect.
Now, when you say governor, I just got two emails here from my friends down there in Florida. They said, okay, now you say you just said you were the governor. They're getting confused now, and Jim or somebody can clarify this in clear terms. When you say free state, you're the governor of the free state. We have to understand, people are saying they get confused between the governorship and what governor is and what you mean by that. Or maybe Jim or somebody or maybe the Hurtlers are very well versed in this, or maybe even you, the governor from Wyoming. Somebody can maybe explain that.
It's real simple, Joe. It's real simple. Wyoming, the state of Wyoming is a corporation. The free state of Wyoming is the public's domain of those in Wyoming. Colorado Free State, I am governor of Colorado Free State. Likewise, that doesn't mean that I have anything to do or authority over Jared Polis or the legislature or the Senate or the People's Corporation. We're in the matrix.
Gotcha. Okay, I think that clears it up pretty simply. And when you say that, it's so very people. Like Sandy was talking about that earlier. People aren't awoke. They don't get it. They don't understand. But we have. And when that light bulb clicks on, sometimes we start speaking and we don't understand. There's a lot of baby people out there, or baby Christians, or baby people in the Republic that just. You got to remember, there's people out there that don't understand or how to articulate this, like you just did, Jim.
Well, I don't know how else to put it. It's a matrix, and that matrix is represented by jurisdiction. And you have common law, which is God's law and the laws of nature, and nature's God, or you have man's laws, which is UCC and codes and statutes. And so we find ourselves living in a matrix of both laws. And we want to live under common law because that's our freedom and our birthright. But we're caught up in a matrix of the UCC spider web. But people need representation in order to have representation according to the Constitution. And that's what John and I and these other people represent, is the people's government, formed by the people, the grassroots, outside of the matrix, and back into the laws of nature and nature's God. The later in waiting for the people to recognize.
All right. Well, thank you. And Mike brought up earlier, too, he brought up there's many different groups, Governor, out there. And Mike was also part of a group there, and he did a good job promoting the Republic. And but he also catered to other groups on his platform. Eric, I forgot what his last name was. Eric, he's up there in Tennessee. He's doing something with trying to restore common law courts, and working with sheriffs around the country, trying to restore common law. And I just don't think we have the time really to do that in each state. I mean, with the waking up process, and that's why people are crying out now for the military to get involved. I believe there's an impatience, an imbalance going on here, and people are just running around not knowing what to do or where to go. And that's why I was kind of hoping one of my pastor friends would call in here tonight, and I think he's on the line there. I was hoping Dr. Ventura would press 1 and maybe offer his opinions on this about the Republic, because he and I have many in-depth conversations about the church and the 501c3 status of the churches and where God is in all this, and where does it all play out here in the end? I mean, is this all just devolution and it's going downhill, and we just sit back and say, hey, what can we do? What are we going to do? Can we really change? If we got the military involved, what are we going to do? Start a civil war? I mean, what can we do? What can we do? I mean, pray, okay, that's great, but what can we do? Pastors out there, somebody. I mean, what the people out there are wanting to hear and listen to the word, to listen to the message, but they just don't know how to find it. And that's why we do this on this podcast show. We try to bring you the message, and we're trying to fix our country, fix our republic, for God's sake. And we're out there crying out for people to get involved. And Mike gets frustrated. He sees the lack of people out there willing to step forward and take initiative. Sandy, I know, has got frustrated over the time. Jim has. I've heard it in his voice many times. He's getting old. We're all getting longer in the tooth here, and we've been fighting with the Republic. And look, you know, nobody wants to get flashbanged tomorrow morning by these New World Order thugs. But you know what? What can we do? What can we do? You know, what can you do?
Can I make another comment just to even further elaborate on what Governor James Carpenter was saying? Because he's saying it from a very, kind of experienced perspective. So I kind of want to say the same thing, but from a real layman's point of view, because, you know, being somebody that just found out about all this myself within the last couple of years, especially over the last year, all of it, the big issue, I think one of the big issues, and this is to, again, clarify this issue of what a governor of free state, means for the benefit of listeners that get confused. The only way to fully understand it is for, again, people to recognize that there was once a thing called the Republic of the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America, as, established by our forefathers, and that over time, through corruption, through, in short, through infiltration into our government, with money and the bankers and the Vatican and the Crown and everything else, the upper echelons, creeping in and having control over our politicians, and being able to buy them out, bribe them, get them to do their bidding, to change laws, add laws, get Congress to pass bills and laws and rules and statutes that were unconstitutional, that were opposed to the Constitution. There was this eventual growing of the United States as we all know it. And 99% of patriots out there, I hate to say that number, maybe it's not that high, but the vast majority of people that consider themselves flag-waving, don't tread on me patriotic Americans have no idea that the government of the United States of America is a corporation, a corporation that was established in contra to the Constitution. And therefore, there are things that people have been doing through movements like Anna von Reitz and, the Assemblies for America and David Straight and others to try to make a stand to declare their status as being, no, I'm a free man, I'm a free person, meaning
this is
I
Jean
recognize
requesting
the
the floor, please.
Please, yeah, I'm sure you can elaborate even better.
Thank you. I've been with the Republic for the United States of America and its reinhabitation since December 2010. And I want to say that I remember Anna von Reitz. I had an hour-long phone conversation with her in 2012. I don't want to go down a long alley, but I want to clarify, and it's very important to me that I do this. We've seen many factions in these 12 years and many infiltrators into the Republic that tried to take us apart, destroy us. They took our re-inhabiting president and imprisoned him without charges. They put him in prison for the potential of committing a crime. And I want to say that I've seen the work on behalf of the national paperwork. We've been down this alley. We've worked on common law courts years ago. We've been through all of that. None of that works with the corporation. And we've seen people in the Republic that followed that paperwork, and by that one individual that I mentioned that I talked to, they went directly to prison without even going to court. And I've heard that those names mentioned now here this evening. We do not promote those names, and we do not promote the nationalism paperwork. This is wrong, and this is scary, and this is an agenda by the elite to take out the patriots one by one. So I want to exhort you, sir, to not bring up those names again, and do not go down that alley again, and do not steer our listeners down that alley. And I thank you for allowing me to have the floor, Joe, Governor Carpenter. This is very serious. I've been through all of this for a lot of years, and we're not going there again. Thank you. I yield the floor.
God bless you.
Okay,
Gene.
if I could please respond. Yeah, back
God
to
bless
that.
you, Gene.
I appreciate what Gene just said. And Gene, just to be clear, and maybe you because of the experience you had, you mistook what I'm saying. By no means am I promoting them at all.
Sir.
I'm not.
I did.
I'm just.
Sir, excuse me. Stop. I am not mistaking what you're saying. I smell this, and I'm telling you to stop now.
Yeah, what I'm saying ultimately is I'm pointing out that there are many Americans.
Joe, take the
I'm talking about the patriotic Americans.
Please, Joe.
I'm talking about all the patriotic Americans.
Joe, please take the floor from this gentleman.
This is not the first time we've had this conversation.
Hang on,
Please
guys.
take control of the board, Joe.
Yep, I got the board here. Hang on.
Yeah, I
okay.
muted him.
We don't want to get. This is one of the problems that here in the Patriot community. I'm glad this came up here tonight. I'm glad it did. And Mike, stay on the line, please. Is that we have this disagreement amongst ourselves and in the Patriot community because everyone's off doing their own thing. And I agree with what Gene said. And you're absolutely right, Gene. We have these people that come in and infiltrate. I don't think that's what Mike is doing. I believe that Mike has a lot to say, and he's trying to do the right thing. He just wants to give everyone a voice. I think I've done that, too, on my platform. And I've taken a lot of flack over the years for that. I've given white nationalists a voice on my platform. I've given the Black Panthers voices on my platform. You know that, Governor Jim. I had you guys come over to some of their platforms and try to introduce the Republic and try to turn them to being, turn their ways and repent. And this is one of the problems that we face. And a lot of the churches out there, a lot of pastors I've had taken flack from too, where they say, Joe, we don't want to be a part of this. We don't want to be part of that. So we gotta put that aside and stop this. We've got to stop. We've got to work together here. Yes, I agree with what you're saying, Gene. If they're going about it the wrong way, not a lawful way, then yes, we have to turn our backs on those people and let them go down, let them kick down the road. You're right.
We do not want promoting. There's been a lot of promoting of other avenues. The answer is to come aboard and support the Republic for the United States of America. We do not want to entangle in the corporation courts. We do not want people to go to prison. And Obama made these fusion centers where people don't even go to the courts of law, although they're not lawful courts in the corporation. People don't even go to court. They just go directly to prison. We saw numbers, and Governor Carpenter can speak to this, out of Missouri and out of Colorado. They went directly to prison for following that woman's paperwork. We do not want people to go to prison. We do not want to promote this nonsense. And I know this woman. I spoke to her years ago, and she created chaos. No more promoting of this nationalist paperwork. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. And I'll let Mike. I don't want to hang up on him. I think Mike promotes the Republic. I'm going to ask him that. Mike, because he has it on his website, actually. He does have the Republic. He has President Geiger on his website, actually. So I'll give him a word here, to be fair. Just to be fair, because that's what I do on this platform. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. I mean, I mean, to Gene's last point, I mean, the Republic itself had people go to prison. So I think that, you know, there's a much deeper issue. My only point was, again, to bring up, it's about the people. I'm not promoting Anna or anybody else. I'm saying that there's many Americans out there that find that source, and I would say that they need to know about the Republic, which, like you said, that's why I have the Republic and links to the Republic on my website, you know, on the homepage. Because anybody that is doing any of those other processes should know about the Republic. That's the point.
Okay.
And to be hostile against me when I try to make that point is become suspect.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's good. But you are a supporter of the Republic, and that's why. And I appreciate that, Mike. You clarifying that. And it is. You go to righteousarmy.org. You can see President Geiger right there. He has it right on the first page there. So he does. But we don't. But I see what Gene's saying. We got to be careful, Mike. You don't understand. Like you said, you've been in this movement for a couple of years now. We've been in this movement. I've been doing this since 1991, okay, when I first woke up. And I became a part of the Republic 2009, 2010. And these people are slick. They will get in there with their sovereign intent stuff that they claim. Then they want to cash in their birth certificates, and they want to start doing messing around with the filing papers at the courts and interacting with the de facto corporation. That is dangerous, and they will come get you, and you will have no due process whatsoever. You have no constitutional rights. They will arrest you, they will kidnap you, and they will put you in prison for 15 years. And that's what we're scared of for our patriots out there. We don't want no one to have that happen to them. So we're aware. It's not going to happen to me. You know, I'm smart enough. If they do come here, I'm prepared. I'm ready. Okay, fine. I've been in this long enough. I'm ready. I'll die today. I don't care. You know, but there's others out there that aren't prepared to make that step or that sacrifice yet. So we don't want to scare them off. I think that's what Gene is getting at also. We have to be careful because many people in the Republic lost their lives, went to prison, and because they got tricked and they got duped and we're promoting other avenues also. And so we're not doing that. We're not going back down that path ever again. That's what Gene is saying, and I appreciate what Gene is saying there. I really do. And that's what her point really was. And, Jim, if you want to reiterate on that, back that up, or Roger Waters, or Mr. Hertler, please.
You know, Mike, you have your platform, and you're free to speak to any of these issues you feel like on your platform. And I do believe in freedom of speech. The whole point is respectfully, sir, this is our platform. And we invite you to participate, but have a constructive point of view in line with the conversation of the evening, rather than making our platform your platform. And I know that talk radio likes to be like that. But this is our show, and we're trying to communicate with the American people, not run down rabbit trails and get off topic. And it changes the whole flavor of the evening to have these kind of conversations.
So you guys love each other still, right? You guys still love each other, right, Jim? You guys love each other still? I mean, we're still okay? I mean,
as a brother in Christ, yeah. I mean, you know, God bless you, man. And I'm not dictating your way. I'm just saying be respectful on my minute. I don't come in on your show and take over the microphone and dictate the conversation respectfully.
Yeah, I think the Anna Von Wright and the David Strait kind of, I cringed when he said that, but, you know, I'm like, hey, you know, he's going to say it, but you're right, Gene. We got to be careful. We got to be careful of sending people down those paths. The other people, though, I forgot his last name, Eric there, that was a common law with the Republic of Tennessee there. They're more in tune with the constitutional republic and not doing the wrong thing, Mike. You know what I mean? And being lawful and a de jure. form of government. I mean, I think we just got to be careful, Mike. You got to be careful. Don't get sucked in by those people that want to file birth certificate paperwork. So I think that's what we're warning about for everybody out there that's listening. You know what I mean? But we do appreciate you, Mike. And actually, Jim sent me a text message. He said, "Where's Mike? No Mike tonight." So we are glad to have you here, man. I mean, I love you as a brother. You're very well motivated, and you can rally the troops. I mean, you can. You did a national following with the National Militia, Righteous Army that you did. I mean, that was awesome. I mean, I have not seen that in a couple of years. Somebody stand up and do that, and put their name and their face out there to say, "Hey, I'm taking a stand here. Come on, America," and do the research you did on the jab. And on the face mask scam and the virus scam. So, and this is right up his alley with what happened with Sandy with the virus scam, where she lost her job because of it. And this is the problem that we're having, and we need people to stand up and recognize that. So, with all due respect, but yeah, Mike, you want to say? Well, I'll give you another minute or two, and then take another call here.
Yeah, sure. No, I appreciate it. Again, I'm sometimes beside myself at me just simply trying to say something that's in the interest of bringing the American people together, and then getting, shot at. It's kind of a little.
You're young in the Patriot community, brother. That's why you're still young in the Patriot community. But you got a good voice, man. Like I said, you got a good national following. You got a good website. You did. Like I said, I commend you. But it's hard for a guy of your age and stature to say, hey, I'm young in the Patriot community. Well, it's hard me as a man. I don't know, but you're very well spoken. You're very knowledgeable. You've taught me some things. I mean, but Jim is correct with what he's saying, and what what I mean.
It's just, to me, there's certainly, I don't know. It seems some people just don't get some things flies over their head or something.
The founding fathers were like that, right? The founding fathers were like that. They were arguing. Many of them couldn't stand each other. So I did a Paul Harvey thing where Paul Harvey talked about the founding fathers and what they had to sacrifice and what they lost a couple shows ago, actually, where look, some of us, our personalities just aren't going to get along with each other. So area code 323. Stay on the line, everybody, please. We got about 45 minutes left. If we can here. I want to get some new callers in here. 323, go ahead.
Hello, people. This is Joe.
Joe, how are you doing, Joe?
Hey, Joe. Okay.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Mike. Hey, everybody else. For 10 years, Joe's been with you guys throughout the supposed efforts to restore the Republic. He's still thinking about running for congressman. I'd like to know what you guys are going to do to support him when he does run.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks. That's right. I do plan on running. And what's the position of Gene? Let me talk. Remember, the Republic actually advised me against interfering with the Republic, but I always said that we have to infiltrate the de facto and reinstate the Republic and the de jure form of government, and that's my position, and that's what I've always believed. Jim, you know that. What answer Joe's question, please, or somebody out there from the Republic.
Hey,
Joe, go ahead, Roger.
Yeah, Joe. If you don't mind me asking, how young are you?
I'm a senior citizen, young.
No, the other Joe.
I'm 49.
Okay. So you've been around the block a few times. You're old enough to know what's right, what's wrong. We could support you as far as running for a position in that de facto, but we would support you only in the idea that you stand for the Republic values, and we would support you in that way. Ever since 2010, I've just lost interest in voting for local officials because I know it makes no difference who you put in. If they say they're clean and squeaky today, in a week they won't be because everybody else is corrupt. and it's real easy for a squeaky clean guy to go in to that pot and stay squeaky clean. I've just seen it too many times where it doesn't work that way. That would be my only thought.
Okay. I got 307 here. I got another 307 here wants to get in here and got their hand up too. I appreciate that, Roger. But you know me, I'm dedicated to the Republic and supporting the du jour.
Yeah.
I mean, what more can I sacrifice or do? You know, but I mean, Mike, he knows my story. I probably did an audio version book, I guess you could say about that.
We would not cut you off if that's what Joe's asking.
Okay.
No.
307? Area code 307? I believe that might be the same number there. We got connected that called in twice. It was 307.
Same number. My connection got really ratty, so I hung up and called back.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I'll mute the other number then that you had on there if I can, and that's fine. Okay, great. Okay, Joe, what do you think about Roger's response there? Because you're a no-nonsense type of guy, and you and I went at it there when we first met on another podcast show where I went on a platform of die-hard liberals, guys. I went on a platform of die-hard liberals, and they all said they would vote for me at the end of the show.
That's right.
They all hated me in the beginning. So
that's right. They all did say at the end that they were going to vote for you, and I wasn't even finished grilling. I wasn't even finished getting the information out, and I wasn't finished doing what I wanted to do. But you had already swayed them to your particular corner. The answer I don't know who gave the answer, forget the name. But the thing is that it seems to me that if you have a person in your midst who's been with you through thick and thin, I'm talking about Joe here, and you're going to say that maybe, possibly, you know, he's not going to be somewhat suited to be within the de facto republic, I find that to be, from you guys, from your perspective, a very bad answer.
Okay, that's respectful.
Bad.
I kind of got that little hesitation there.
And I can understand. Hold on. I can understand from a certain perspective why that is. I personally, as I've talked to Joe, I let him know, I think that there's other better ways than running for Congress or even being elected to Congress, even if you're as honest as Honest Abe. But the thing is that if you have somebody from within your own ranks who actually does achieve that particular position within what you call the de facto republic, everybody there should give 100% support for him and behind him before he gets in and after, in my opinion, as a no-nonsense guy. Okay?
May I respond?
Yes, Jim.
Jim Carpenter, may I respond? Part of our Declaration of Sovereign Intent and Claim and Interest that's on file when we put the world on notice addresses that very issue. And it says that we will not cross jurisdictional boundaries. And so we won't step into their jurisdiction. We won't become a political party in their illegal game, and that we will distance ourselves and draw a line there and represent a different jurisdiction and that jurisdiction only. And so what we do, welcome to the Matrix. I'm sure that almost everybody on this call is eligible to vote and encourage them to do so, but that's voting in a different jurisdiction by a person that's engaged in corporate legalities and adhesion contracts that allows them the right to vote in that jurisdiction. But that doesn't allow the Republic to come in as the Republic into their jurisdiction and promote something that would be crossing jurisdictional boundaries.
A point of order, Jim. Point of order real quick. Then this is where I become conflicted, and I've had this conversation with you, many, and I've never really got a straight answer here. And Sandy, I don't want to divert from Sandy to being a guest here tonight also. I don't want to divert here from that. But the Republic openly supported Donald Trump. He's a de facto president. Why would the Republic support him? Why? Because he's a billionaire and I'm not? You know? I mean, Why? I'm out there saying restore the republic. I'm out there. Oh, I'm the little guy out there who's getting his head kicked in, getting kidnapped by the sheriffs down here, being handcuffed and thrown in jail because I'm standing up for a de jure form of government. I'm the one that, I put my life on the line. So Republic supports Donald Trump. Why not support me? There, So kind of a little.
Wait a minute, Joe.
Here.
You did that. You did that. That stuff happened to you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I was kidnapped, thrown in jail. I was handcuffed to a grate in the floor. I was butt naked for 17 days. Yep. That happened to me. So,
okay, and here's another thing. You're going to say then, boys, that the man who's done this, the man who's been with you for 10 years, and you haven't listened to what he said. He said if he's inside, if he gets elected, he's infiltrating the de facto republic. You people are just saying right now you would wipe your hands of him. You would just say, okay, he's elected. He was one of us, but we're going to assume that he's going to become part of the de facto republic. Do you know what you guys are saying?
Anybody want to take a stab at that?
You don't need to be putting words in our mouth, okay?
I'm not. You already put them there.
No, sir.
All right.
That's not what we're saying, and you need to quit doing that. You do it every time you come on.
That's right. Every time I do come on, because I clarify things. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Thank you for telling the truth.
You better believe it.
All right. Does anybody else want to jump in here and back up what Joe was saying, or see what's going on here?
This is David Hertler.
Hey, Mr. Hertler, go ahead, Mr. Hertler.
Go ahead, okay, de facto republic is an oxymoron. That doesn't chime. And you don't use those two words together. It's an oxymoron.
But why did we support Donald Trump David? But why did we support Donald Trump though?
Okay,
why?
Well, he was moving. He's neutral. He's moving us into the republic. But the republic
that's what I would do.
The republic is based on the Constitution. All 50 states do not have the Constitution, nor is it in Washington, D.C. It's run the Uniform Commercial Code. So it's another law form. So when the republic gets in, okay, all the people that are in all three branches of government in all 50 states are going to be God-fearing people. God-fearing people that are going to run their state according to the Constitution of that state, according to the Constitution in the nation. Listen, righteousness has to exalt this nation again. And right now it's not. And this is what we need. We need the constitutional government in all 50 states and in our nation's capital to take over.
But David, to do that, my suggestion is that we have to elect people and infiltrate the de facto like the de facto did to us. The de facto usurped our republic. They infiltrated us through the Reconstruction Act, through the Emergency Powers Act of 1933.
Right. The deception, you go back to 1871. Go back to 1871. This is all a bunch of deception, all a bunch of lies. They had the people believing that we are still running our government according to the Constitution. That's an absolute lie. That's a deception. It's oxymoron. It has to be.
I think David, what Joe was trying to do, he was trying to get the Republic out there, saying, "Hey, look, will you commit to this guy? He's out there. He's a voice for me. He's out there trying to say, hey, guys, back the guy up." Because he's doing this for you. He's out there putting his neck on the line. Will you back him up? I think, and he didn't get a straight answer. I think that's what his point is.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
But when you're running according to the Constitution. A republic is running according to the state constitution. Okay, you're not running it according to the corporate democracy. You're not running.
But you guys supported Donald Trump, from what I'm hearing. Donald Trump was a billionaire and a New Yorker. And if you guys know anything about New York politics, the people around the United States don't like New Yorkers. Yet he got elected. And from what I'm hearing now, you supported him. But here's a person who's been with you for 10 years, been with a meeting that supposedly was one of the beginning points, the inception of the Republic. And he's thinking about running to infiltrate the Republic. You guys are saying that if he gets there, who cares? He's no longer part of you. So that means you won't talk to him anymore. You won't give him any advice. You won't make any suggestions to him.
I mean, if that's the case, then
those are your words. Those are your words, not ours.
So then, how are you going to? You just said you're not going to support him. So how am I putting words in your mouth?
You said we wouldn't communicate. That we would cut him off. Those are your words, my friend.
All right.
No,
so
if
you're not going to support him, then why would you communicate with him?
So, see, you're a wordsmith. I appreciate wordsmiths.
Well, hang on a second,
okay.
Jim. Hang on, guys. This is the problem that I'm hearing.
You took what I had to say and totally disregarded it and carried no valid input in your line of conversation. And I said, if you read the Declaration of Sovereign Intent, we claim that we will not come within their jurisdiction as an act of war could be construed, for instance. So
Jim, I took a lot of flack for this, though.
If we were to say that we were going to send a spy in and infiltrate and support his doing so, would you consider that, under the way people view things today, it may be an act of war? Would that maybe open up a door to say, hey, you people have violated your international standing and our agreement?
But what about Donald Trump,
what your international agreement says? The thing is, anybody who's going into any particular congressional seat, whether it be a senator or a congressman or assemblyman, councilman, etc., and with the intentions of upholding the Constitution, forget about re-inhabiting the republic, just about upholding the Constitution, trying to protect the rights of people, you, as the republic, should be supporting that
Constitution, or the Constitution that we see prior to the 13th Amendment. Which Constitution? Okay? Welcome to the Matrix. I want to be clear. You're a wordsmith.
Okay, the Constitution that Joe is supporting by being a part of your particular republic.
So he doesn't recognize any of the other amendments from the 13th Amendment on.
Hey, Jim, this is a lot of concern of a lot of people out there where they're getting confused between the de facto and the republic. And that's what the problem, and that's why, and we're losing patriots because of that, and they're branching off and doing their own thing. So this is a problem that has to be addressed, and I'm glad Joe brought it up tonight because it's been on my mind. I took a lot of flack because I said, Donald Trump, we ain't supporting no Donald Trump. He's a de facto president. I took a shellacking on Facebook because of that. I lost over 1,000 supporters, friends. Yeah, you need to watch what you say about Donald Trump. He's a supporter of the republic. I remember that. So what Joe's making a valid point here, Jim. I think you wanted to be about Donald Trump.
See, Joe Gibson went through grilling with me. I'd like to invite anybody here from the republic, since you guys might actually believe in what you're saying, to actually sit down across the table from me in a virtual conversation, the same way I had with Joe Gibson and 2 other political candidates, and just ask you questions the way that I ask questions. Joe knows how I ask questions. Anybody object?
Jim, go ahead. Jim, you wanted to say something?
No,
this is Representative Mark Binder. May I have the floor here?
Yep. My point of order, Mark Binder. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you. And in response to the gentleman's question here, and your question as well, and please let me finish before you interrupt me. President Trump, he was not part of the Republic in the beginning, to the best of my knowledge. I've never heard him on a call or anything. He's doing all this on his own. The military is backing him. What he is a transitional president. He's transitioning. He's not in the foreground right now. He's in the background because the military is doing their thing right now. And they're not telling you on the news what they're doing. And they're not doing, if you listen to Rattletrap 1776, that would be on Telegram, he puts forth the military laws and orders and the executive orders and the emergency orders that President Trump did when he was in his first term, and the military is acting on that now. He's saying that over 1 million National Guard are in active duty right now, and the only one who can do that is a president. So right now he's the commander-in-chief of the military. Okay, so he's our spearhead of the republic. He was the one who was going to infiltrate the de facto, you understand. And he was going to be the one that was going to be the transition president, and he was going to clean the swamp. One more thing I have to explain is that between the de facto jurisdiction and the republic jurisdiction, those are parallel jurisdictions. They're parallel governments. Okay, you can't mix them. Parallel lines do not cross. They stay parallel. They stay separate. And to take something like the Constitution our forefathers gave us, or anything before 1860, and bring it to a de facto court of law, it can't do it. It's like mixing electricity with water. And I hope that helps clarify a few things. If you're in the republic jurisdiction and you decide you want to run for a de facto position, you're leaving the republic jurisdiction to do that. And now there's a lot of people that want to try to fix the government that they see. What they don't realize is the government that they aren't seeing is the one they really want. And that's part of the grand illusion of the de facto corporation. And it's been going on since 1860, 1871. And I yield. Thank you for hearing me.
Nice job, Mark.
Can I ask a quick question, Joe?
Yeah, go ahead, Sandy. Sandy wants to speak, please. Go ahead, Sandy.
So I've been going through my own process of leaving the corporation and establishing myself back as a living woman on the land. In order to totally divorce myself from that corporation, I have sent letters to the voter registration and telling them to revoke my registration from their corporation. In summary, I would never run for an office in the corporation because they will always corrupt you. Even the best, most patriotic people are going to be turned in some way. And I really do consider it as if we are two different countries, the corporate U.S. and the true government republic U.S. Republic for the United States, let me say it the right way. And if we were to send a republic representative into the corporation, I agree with Governor Carpenter that we would be committing espionage or attempting to commit espionage, actually outright saying that we're going to do it. So just me personally, I will have absolutely nothing to do with the corporation if I have anything to say about it. Now, because they are pretending to be in control, I have no choice but to interface with a couple of the things that they're doing, but otherwise I am absolutely minimizing my contact with their corruption. I yield.
Dr. Peter Ventura, you're out there listening. We've had this conversation, you and I. I hope you're listening. I wish he'd press 1, because we've had this conversation so many times. And he says, yeah, right, you're going to be a Republic guy. You're going to denounce yourself from the corporation. How are you going to live, Joe? What are you going to do? You're not going to bank with the Federal Reserve no more? How are you going to buy groceries? How are you going to put gas in your car? You're not going to have a driver's license? You're going to get pulled over. You're going to be sitting in jail. So that you're living on the land as a woman, Sandy, I respect what you're saying. You're declaring your status as doing that. Okay. Now what happens when the de facto pulls me over with the blue lights and they declare an emergency and they kidnap me and now I'm sitting, what good am I to the Republic now? What good am I? What good am I to anybody? Go ahead.
They would never have been able to pull you over unless you gave them jurisdiction. If they say something like, do you understand why you got pulled over? And if you say yes, that's it. You're done. But if you say, no, I don't stand under anyone, you are not going to establish jurisdiction. I'm a living man, I'm a living woman on the land. They can't touch you.
I did that, Sandy, and I got dragged. I said, I am a citizen of the Republic. I said that in their de facto court. They had no jurisdiction to do what they were doing to me. And I got handcuffed, knocked in the head, dragged down the 3 sets of concrete stairs, and thrown in a padded room. My clothes ripped off me and handcuffed and grated to the floor. So what you're saying, I have to disagree with.
Joe.
Yes.
We discussed this a little bit too, and this is fine tuning. First, I want to say thank you to Sandy for everything she just said. I appreciate maybe I just made a little mistake earlier by mentioning some names of some gurus. That wasn't my intent, as I've already made clear. But Sandy, I appreciate her pointing out that she's doing what she can do to separate herself, and there's many Americans doing that. And I think all those Americans need to know about the Republic. That was my point earlier. And Joe, this is fine tuning here, but you know, in our conversations, in our interview we did, right? You kind of acknowledged, you know, it's a fine line on what we say and how we say it, right? And when you talk
You're
about
telling me, Mike, if I drive around without a license plate on my car and no driver's license, that they're not going to pull me over and interact with me de facto? And that when they pull me over and I say I don't understand, that I don't agree with them, they're going to leave me alone? Yeah, okay.
Well, first of
go ahead.
all, you yourself told me you found the statute that validates that, aside from the other issues.
But that cop's not going to want to hear that on the side of the road, Mike. The cop's not going to want to hear that.
But again, it's a big part of it is what we say and how we say it. And I just, you know, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but by your own admission, part of the reason you got handcuffed, because you can talk about how bad and horrible all that was, and it was, but by your own admission, I mean, when you were fighting with them, if you fight with law enforcement, you're in trouble.
If they put their hands on me,
you
what do I do, Mike? I just let my head get stomped into the floor?
If you're going to claim that you're going to be a sovereign citizen, and that's not, I don't think that's what Joe was saying, but as sovereign citizens, pretty close to the ideals that you people have. If somebody says, I do not recognize your authority, this is not your jurisdiction, you think the cop's going to say, well, thank you, sir, for that information, to leave you alone?
Yeah,
no matter
exactly.
how nicely you say it.
I will say it's certainly my understanding, as Sandy just alluded to, that there's actually a process you can go through where you are actually in the system as that, and your passport would reflect it. And the passport will give you limited liability, limited immunity. There is.
You have no immunity. You have no immunity.
I will be glad to question anybody to have them clarify anything that they have on either Joe's show or anybody else's show. I was offered a show. I can take that show, and anybody here can come on there, and you can clarify to the rest of the nation as best you can what the Republic is all about. And with my line of questioning, I can guarantee you I'll get down to the nitty-gritty in less than 15 minutes. It won't take you guys months and months and months. All right?
Okay, go ahead, Sandy. Sandy, you want to say something, Sandy?
I would encourage everybody to do it.
Sandy wanted to say something. Go ahead, Sandy.
I was just saying
and welcome,
that...
Sarge, and welcome, Sarge, to the chat room. Sarge, you missed it. We got the military on here tonight listening, and Sandy's going to be on the Alan Keyes show next Tuesday at 2 p.m. I know you're a friend of Alan Keyes, Sarge. I think you're listening now, Sarge. I want to say welcome to the platform. I know you're in the chat room, but go ahead, Sandy.
I just wanted to correct a statement that was just made that there is no passport status that would give you immunity, but there is a passport status that gives you immunity. You just have to know the proper paperwork, and I'm going through that process right now. As soon as I get that passport, all I have to do if I'm ever detained or pulled over or anything like that is that I hand them the passport and I say, go check your system. They will come back and they will say, have a nice day, and walk off.
I've heard that, Sandy. I've heard that. I've been with the Republic since 2009. I'm going to tell you right now, there is no such system out there. There is no magic saying, there is no magic card you're going to have. I remember when the Republic came out with ID cards. I remember that. And they were going to start, and with the United Nations, it was registered with the United Nations, all that, and that fell apart. You will be pulled over, you will be handcuffed, and you will be brought to jail. It's happened here in North Carolina.
And if there's anybody who knows anything about the law and history, it's Sarge. Sarge, bring your ass up on the show, will you please? I want to hear your
Sarge, Sarge wants to come. Yeah, go ahead, Sarge. You're on the platform. Go ahead.
Before I get real pissed.
We have a retired state trooper right here on the line. Sarge, is there a passport system where you will not be pulled over and brought to jail if you don't have a driver's license, registration, or any type of or card system that you know of, being a state trooper, retired state trooper for the state of Illinois, all the years that you worked, and also retired military who served in Vietnam? Go ahead, Sarge.
The only thing that I know of that I would recognize, again, I'm not claiming to know every little bit of citizenship law. I know most of it. The only thing that I'm aware of is a diplomatic passport, which, of course, is issued by the State Department after diplomatic credentials have been recognized by our sovereign state of the United States. And when you revoke your citizenship formally through the process allowed for in the Immigration and Naturalization Statutes, when you go through the steps to formally renounce your United States citizenship, the United States will not allow you to do so until you have another nation state that will accept you, so you will not be stateless.
That's right. That's correct.
That's not an accurate statement. That's inaccurate. No, you're becoming an American national, and your state is your nation. It's that simple.
That's not true, Mike. That's not true.
I'm saying, you go look at the law, sir. Go look at the law. You cannot even renounce your citizenship unless you have another state that's willing to accept you either as a resident or a citizen. They will not allow you to be a stateless person. They will not allow you to do it.
You're not renouncing your citizenship. You can't renounce your citizenship if you were born here. That's ridiculous to begin with. What you're doing is you're declaring your status. It's about status.
You're reordering.
Status. It's about declaring. You're declaring your status. You're repatriating.
I have a retired state trooper right here, Mike. That's on. How many years? No, Sarge, 19 years, 20 years. I don't know. And he's telling you that if he pulled you over, 23 years. If he pulled you over, that you're going to jail if you don't have a driver's license or registration, and you say that I'm not a part of.
There are millions. There are millions of law enforcement officers out there that have been on the job for 30 years and they know nothing about it.
All right, I just want to let you know that in order to renounce your United States citizenship, you must voluntarily and with the intent to relinquish your even if you're a natural-born citizen, you can do this. You got to appear before a United States consular or diplomatic officer in a foreign country, normally the U.S. Embassy or consulate, sign an oath of renunciation, and pay $2,350 fee to do so. And then you got to have a nation state that will accept you. There is a process to renounce your citizenship.
We're not talking about renunciation.
But you got to be in your majority.
Time out, guys. Time out. Go ahead. Somebody wants to say something. I think that's Sandy. I'm not sure. Go ahead.
It is Sandy. Thanks. So I explained a little bit about this in the video, if anyone's watched it. If you haven't, in summary, the 14th Amendment, the fraudulent 14th Amendment, came along and reordered our status as citizens. So we have always been, before that date, state citizens as our primary citizenship, and, of course, also a citizen of the United States of America, always in that order. The 14th Amendment fraudulently and treasonably reversed that and made us U.S. citizens, which made us now property of the United States Corporation, and then we became state citizens second. And so when you go through this process with the passport that I'm doing right now and all the other paperwork, is you're putting it back the other way. I am a state citizen of my birth state of Illinois, not the corporate one, so free state of Illinois. And I am an American citizen after that. And so that's what the passport says. And there's something that they put in the system in the Department of State, because we've got firsthand people with this exact passport, this is through Kelby Smith's process, that have zero problems. They have actually been like camping near El Paso, near the border. Border Patrol comes along, starts jacking them up, thinking that they're doing something with drugs or whatever. The guy hands in his passport. He goes to the car. The trooper comes back and says, "Have a nice day. Sorry we bothered you," and that was the end of it.
Sandy, with all due respect, I have heard that. I have heard that, Sandy, in this movement that I've been a part of. I've done my research. I've looked up there are only 10 Supreme Court cases that address the 14th Amendment, and I have never met anyone that has happened with that where they say, "Have a nice day." There's no YouTube videos. I've seen people dragged out of their cars, beaten, electrocuted. And that's what I'm telling you. It happened to me, and well, I'm not saying you're wrong. All I'm saying is I've yet to have that status, and I can't find it.
Well, who are you filing your papers
with? You do understand that as a police officer, there is no internal passport requirement in the United States anyway. So I'm not going to ask you for a passport unless you got an internet. Well, I'm going to ask you maybe you've got an international driver's license. Maybe that might be acceptable. But there's no internal requirement for a passport in the United States for anyone anyway.
Yeah, so I'm handing something to a police officer. It's not going to know what the hell.
I don't care if you
go
got
back
a passport or not if you're in the United States.
Who are you filing these papers with, Sandy, to get this passport? What particular division or agency?
Department of State, just like any other passport.
Department of State. What particular department within the Department of State?
So I have to double check the address where it went to, but I literally went to the post office. I filled in all the spaces in a different way than you would normally fill them in, and it's off being processed. I should be getting it probably within the next 3 weeks.
But who did you send it to? Did you send it just to the Department of State, or did you send it to a particular department within the Department of State?
I don't think so, because I didn't have control of it once I gave it to the U.S. Post Office. They sent it to where they send all passports.
So you got the passport application from the post office. You filled it out a different way. You filled it out. You sent it in, and you don't remember what particular department that you sent it to.
Well, like I said, I don't have control of it once I give it to the post office. They send them to all the same place, as far as I understand.
So, but you don't remember the department. This is something which is very important for the Republic in order for you to navigate within this particular matrix. And you don't remember the particular department.
Well, like I said,
Sandy, did you do a declaration?
I don't have control.
Okay.
Sandy, did you do a Sandy, did you do a declaration of status?
There was an attached declaration of status to the passport application, so a notarized affidavit was attached.
Right.
You just filled out a normal
Joe,
passport application that you get at
Joe,
the post office. I've seen them there, and I have one myself. But according to what Sarge just said, it is not going to be a legitimate process.
Let me
I
for
agree
you,
with
Joe,
her about
Sarge.
what she said about the 14th Amendment. There's no doubt whatsoever that the 14th Amendment inverted the method by which you became a United States citizen, because as she correctly points out, prior to the 14th Amendment, you became a citizen by being a citizen of one of the United States, and by virtue of that, you were then a citizen of the United States. The rationale for the 14th Amendment is that the Confederate States, mainly, would not allow newly freed slaves to be citizens of their states, and therefore they were unable to be citizens of the United States. So the reason for the 14th Amendment was to allow newly freed slaves whom the Confederate States were not allowed to become United States citizens to become United States citizens. Now, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying that was the rationale. So she's right about that. But what I'm trying to understand here is what is the significance of being accepted in the pre-14th Amendment citizenship establishment order? Is it for purposes of international travel, or exactly why are you doing it?
Andy,
because everything is about status. I just want to give this for Joe and for Sarge. A great resource is America's-Assembly. Everything Sandy was saying, America's Assembly.
Yeah, I go there, Mike. Okay, we go to another website, and I'm looking up documents and everything. Again, we're here on the show talking to people that are telling us the process and that they've done it, but yet, how we want to do it. Okay, I want to be a citizen of the Republic. I want to travel freely without this de facto harassing me. Okay, I don't want to vote for him. I'm not going to run for public office. Okay, I'm with the Republic. I don't want to be pulled over with my 2 kids in the car with blue lights behind me and handcuffed and tasered, dragged out of my car and thrown in jail. Well, because that's what I've seen on YouTube. That's what I see all across the internet. That's what I see happening to everybody across the country. And then where are you, Mike? Where's Mike? Where's the Republic when I'm standing in the front of the judge and the next morning with a swelled up head and a concussion? Where's Mike? Where's the Republic at? Yeah, nobody's there. Nobody's there, are you? You know? And that's the problem I have. Go ahead.
But I'm still trying to understand what the advantage of this is. I mean, what is the purpose of doing it this way?
It's about jurisdiction, and jurisdiction is relative to status.
Again,
I'm telling you, if
what
you go to
judge
America,
are you explaining this to in the morning, Mike? When you're arrested and handcuffed and dragged and put and thrown in a jail cell, the police officer is not going.
Are you trying to say that reversing this order of citizenship would somehow obviate you from federal or state law? Exactly what is it supposed to accomplish?
All the answers to that are on America's-Assembly.com.
Well, we're asking you, Mike.
Answers to that.
Quick, we're asking you, Mike. What's this going to accomplish quickly, though? What is this?
Yeah, the short answer is The short answer is yes, just as Sandy indicated. If you do the process, it's a process, and you do it properly, where you establish your status and you're in your jurisdiction, your passport will reflect that. And you are treated as you're actually treated as an alien to the de facto government, because
do you have
they
this passport,
are
Mike?
a separate
Do you have
government.
this passport, Mike? Is anyone on the call tonight that has this passport? Is anyone here that has that passport?
My son and I are going through the process because we've researched
Everyone's
it,
going through the
and
process
we found
right
a great
now.
resource.
Okay.
We're going
here's my
passport
offer.
is issued by the federal government.
Michael and Sandy, you've got a show coming up pretty soon. I'd like to be there. And
yeah,
Michael,
I'd like to be there
why
too.
don't you? Michael, why don't you get people and
the
Sandy? You get people.
Issued by the federal
hold on
government.
a minute, Sarge, hold on a second, please. Michael and Sandy, why don't you get the people who have gotten this process completed successfully and bring them on to your show? I'd like to be there. I want to talk
me
to them.
too.
Okay.
Me too. But look, but the question another question I got here is that since a passport is for purposes of international travel, like I said, you don't need a passport to move about in the United States. I mean, this obviously is a recognition overseas rather than in the United States. So that's why I keep asking, what is the purpose of this?
No, a passport also stands as a legitimate form of ID. A passport stands as a legitimate form of ID, period.
When the de facto
to answer your question, more directly,
you don't need a driver's license.
To answer your question more directly, the purpose of this, according to what they're implying, is that once you have it, you are now immune and then indemnified against the laws of the de facto republic, and they supposedly, the gendarme of the de facto republic, have to.
How can that be since an alien is not immune from that?
And they have to.
I mean, an alien citizen from abroad is subject to the laws of the jurisdiction of the United States when they enter the United States, with very few exceptions.
That's the problem we're running into, and that's the conflict we're having with many patriots across the country who are losing their lives, who are being shot or arrested or losing their families, losing their jobs because this status thing that Mike's talking about. Or I'm not trying to criticize anybody here, and I agree with you. What you're saying, you're right about your history, Sandy, in your video. I've supported the Republic. I've been out here preaching it for a long time. But the only common sense conclusion I have come up with, that I have seen, that I can acknowledge, that will work right now in the current situation that we're in, is that we have to infiltrate the de facto and restore our de jure form of government through elections through the elections that the zombies know of today out there. The people out there who don't know their history, who don't know what you're talking about in the video, Sandy, because there are so many millions who don't know, that are a part of the de facto, that are going to appoint these people and continue appointing these people that are trying to hurt us. So when a guy like me stands up and says, I'm going to go in there and restore the Republic, and I'm going to go in and look, you say, okay, the best of you will be corrupted. Well, that's in God's hands then. We got to put that in, how strong is our faith then?
It's jurisdiction. It's jurisdiction. You're putting yourself, like James said, in their jurisdiction. You're putting yourselves in their jurisdiction.
Can we have the floor, please, for a minute?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Gator. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Here for the People Radio that's airing all this tonight. And I'm hearing a lot, which is great. Many of you are potential great leaders for this country. I want to make a statement. First off, how do we even have a country? We have open borders. You say the United States. It's not. It's the divided states, purposely done by a corrupt government. And quite honestly, any politician that was involved pushing the vaccines, the bioweapon viruses, is treasonous in my book. Before I close tonight, everybody, Lieutenant Colonel Mariaki, ma'am, are you there? Sandy.
Ma'am?
Ma'am, first off, you're top gun in my book. Being grown up in the military and everything else, family members, retired. And I want to thank you for your service. And I know you put your wings on the line. I got another word for that, man. But I'm not going to say that here. Keep up the fight. And I promise you this. Here, with the station, and we'll do everything we can to help support you. We were, a year ago, we were shadow banned. The stations get knocked out because I was showing my support for my Republic. but I'm back in the fight. Now, I'm not as educated as anybody else out there. I'm more of a simple man. I bring people together with music and everything else, God, love, and we got a big fight.
But Gator, with all due respect, can we have a point of order here, Gator? God and love is not going to stop those handcuffs from being placed on my wrist when the police officer pulls me over.
Listen, I live in New York, and I can guarantee you this: you're going to drive around with, license, you're going to get arrested. So whatever it may be with all that stuff, that's great. That would take forever. We got a corrupt government here. That's Democratic and Republican. And we got some great leaders trying to come up in the midst. But think about all the lobbyists. Think about everything else going on in this current government. The Pentagon, everything. Our justice system. Our Supreme Court justice system. Everything has been corrupted.
What you guys are saying is that if you had 1,000 guys, members of your republic, and if all 1,000 of them got elected within your de facto republic, that you would not trust any of the 1,000 to do right by the Constitution or by the agenda of the republic. That's what you guys are saying, bottom line.
First off, they're not standing by the republic form of the Constitution. I don't see hardly any of them because they're up against the cabal. They're the globalists. They're the ones.
So if you got elected, you're not an honest. You're an honest person. So if you got elected to office, all of a sudden you wouldn't be honest.
Hey
guys, time out. I got Dr. Peter Paul Ventura here. He's a pastor of a couple churches here across the country. He has quite a following. I'm going to bring him on. I want to bring him on.
God bless.
All right, Dr. Peter Paul Ventura, go ahead. Welcome to the podcast here tonight. Thank you. Gator, stay on, please. I don't want you to go nowhere, but, don't get frustrated here because this is an important conversation. Go ahead, Dr. Peter Paul Ventura.
Yeah, might be a coincidence, but can you hear this? Hear you loud and clear, sir.
Dr. Peter Paul Ventura, go ahead. You're connected.
Hey. Every time I get on these programs, I've either got drones or a helicopter around. It's just coincidental. There's a small airfield near there. But anyway, I've been listening, and I've listened for many, many programs, and I respect you all. And I'm a patriot. My wife's a 20-year Navy vet. I'm a Navy vet. I pastored the First Baptist Church of Woodbury, Connecticut. I had the Bible Believers Baptist Church in Imperial Beach, California. And I'm a Bible believer. I stand on the Word of God. And so I listen with the curious ears to hear something new, something motivating. And Joe's right. You drive down the street, I don't care what you got in your hands. You show them a passport. They're not looking at your passport. They want to see your driver's license, your insurance card, and your registration. That's nice. You have a passport. Is this car registered? That's all they want to know. And you're going to jail. And by the way, Joe went to jail. And I had to drive down from Connecticut to North Carolina 5 times. We filed writs of mandamus. We had a judge sit on the bench and say that the legislators entrusted him to change the statutory laws. And he's in a district where there are a law onto their Rockingham County. And I haven't seen anybody from the Republic or from anywhere else show up or stand by Joe or help him out in this matter, or draft any papers, or do anything for him. All I've heard is talk for 10 years. And I respect you guys. I believe you have a heart to do what's right, and I believe you can't do anything unless God's behind it. And I think God's behind what's moral, what's just, and what's right. I mean, you look at our nation. I mean, God defined marriage. For this cause shall a man leave his mother and father, be joined unto their wife, and they twain shall be one. And yeah, amen. And so here's our corrupt government comes along and says, we're going to redefine what God said. And so we're in a godless society. There's no question about it. And there's a right way and a legal way to do it. And hurrah for that. And in the meantime, you got guys like Joe who are standing up and he's on these programs and he's standing alone. He's in these courtrooms alone. I watched them hijack him from a 2-year probation. He's not even on probation. And they put him on it. And I stood in the courtroom. I couldn't say anything. I'm not counsel. I don't have an appearance. I am a paralegal. I do have a couple of doctorates. I have studied constitutional civil law and civil redress. And I did that because, you know, the Lord led me that way. But the truth of the matter is, well, what do you tell a guy like Joe? Well, you're going to court. You stand alone. We're with you. We stand behind you. This is what you need to file. And I'm the only guy that's filing anything. I'm the only guy that's writing anything. We took a mandamus all the way up. Rule 65 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure said that the magistrate has no right to hear a restraining order, a preliminary injunction or restraining order. Magistrate sat on it for 3 weeks and then made a ruling. And so where's the outrage there? I'm just curious.
Well,
because I'm sitting back here and I'm saying, why would I get involved with people that don't even stand with each other? This guy's been in the movement since 2010, 29, and I'm saying, here he is. He's hung out here alone, and he is, and he's got a wife and 2 children, and he's swinging in the wind.
With all due respect, there's a whole lot that you guys don't know about status and jurisdiction.
That's all well and fine, Mike. But what again? But we're in the trenches. Dr. Peter Ventura, me, a couple other patriots. Where's the Republic? Where is everybody? Where are you? You know, what's going on here? Where's the outrage? You know, again, you know, what do we do? What do you tell guys like me or the other patriots out there? Mike, you're going to come on the phone line and say, it's all about status and jurisdiction. Yeah, what? You go tell that to a guy, his 3 kids that are starving, his electricity turned off, and he's out there fighting for the patriot community. That's why you don't have no patriots rising up anymore, because they're sick and tired of the bull crap. Because you got the David Straits and the Annas and everybody collecting money from everybody, keeping their websites going, and guess what? These guys are all out there going to jail. And they're sitting in the concrete box, 15-year prison sentences. And you're talking about it's all about jurisdiction. You don't have a driver's license. You don't have a registration card. I don't care what you declare your status. You're going to jail. You're going to be kidnapped, and you're going to sit in a concrete box. Because I've done it, and I've been there. Okay? You're not driving around without a license plate.
The simple fact of the matter is it is all
Remember?
about status.
Listen, Joe did that with the seatbelt.
Remember by the way, Joe?
Yep. Yeah.
Joe?
Remember, Dr. Ventura,
I'd like to know that.
Hang on, point of order. Everybody, point of order. Hang on. Point of order, please. Dr. Ventura first. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I interrupted. That was my fault.
Joe,
Go ahead, Dr. Ventura.
Joe did that with the seatbelt thing. Here he was about 4 or 5 years ago, and he's not going to wear a seatbelt. Why do I have to wear a seatbelt? They can't force me to wear a seatbelt. Well, after 10 tickets and he's ready to go to prison, you bet he'll pay his fines.
Because he's in their jurisdiction. Because he's in their jurisdiction based on his status.
I'd like to know how supporting somebody who goes to court is somehow a violation of jurisdiction in the minds of the Republic.
It's a good question, and I totally understand it because I wrestled with it myself for months, and I clearly understand it now. But I'm not a guru. I'm not a teacher about it. But I did give a great resource. Americas-assembly.com is a great resource, and that's a big part of what has to happen. People need to start educating themselves. We've been dumbed down every way from, which way, upside down and inside and out, not just in the traditional sense like you've heard me harp on so many times with the stupidity of music that's not even music and the perversion and immorality and the movies and the television shows, the cartoons, and just all the junk food and the poisonings. People have been dumbed down, but they've also been dumbed down to things as simple as that reality of status and jurisdiction is, in fact, everything.
I'm a citizen of the Republic. Okay, I'm a citizen of the Republic. I have been. I signed the paperwork down in Chapel Hill 12 years ago now, 13 years ago. I wish the Hurtlers were still here. See, everyone runs away when there's a little bit disagreement. Hang on, time out. I did the thumbprint thing. I declared I'm a grand juror. I'm a Republic citizen. It don't matter. This corporation will kidnap you, grab you, and throw you in jail. Then where's everybody? Where's my Republic? Where's my 1 million members? Where's Mike?
You did not go through the process.
You heard what Biden
Signing
said the
some
other day.
piece of paper to show your allegiance to the Republic is not going through the process that we're talking about with regards to status.
What's the process, Mike? What's the status? How do I do this? You tell us go to a website. We've all been to these websites.
I gave you the resource I gave you is the same one that my 30-year-old son went to. and he spent all his time there, and then I followed up.
And your
behind
30-year-old
him
son was thrown in jail for not driving without a driver's license. How's that making out for him right now? How's that case going?
Precisely. There you go. Thank you, bingo. Because he hasn't gone through the process. Had he gone through the process, had he already been through the process, that would not have been the case.
Well, let me ask you
this.
Is
there anyone who's been through the process? Is there anybody who's been through the process? We've got years and years of the Patriot community on here on this platform right now. Years. Gene Hertler, where are you? You wrote the Re-Inhabited books, David Hertler. You guys must have been through the process. Has anyone been through the process? Anyone?
Can I interrupt?
Joe?
Did anybody
I'd like to correct one thing I said earlier, because I don't want to give out any bad information, because I remembered this, and I only came across it 3 or 4 times, maybe 5 or 6 times in my career. If you have a foreign license and what they call an international driving permit that is translated into English from your embassy, you got to have both. And if you show them to a police officer in every state, I know in Illinois it was true, then you can drive as long as you got a valid visa for the time you're presenting the license.
Can I interrupt?
Thank you, Sarge. That's only a tweak of what you said, Sarge.
Well, people say you said something wrong. I want to make sure that was correct. Because it's been a while since I ran into it.
Hey, Joe, for a second. Joe, can I have the floor? Did anybody happen to hear what Biden said the other day about the Second Amendment on national television?
Did I ever?
He said, who's going to stop us? How are they going to stop F-15s?
Yeah,
that's what he said.
And nukes.
That's what he said. How are they going to stop us from taking their sex from their guns? They said, well, what about the people that stand up against the government? He said, how are they going to stop F-15s?
Yep.
That's what he
said.
He said it on more than one occasion. He said it on about 4, something like that.
Okay, but time out. We got someone here who's from the military right now, Sandy. Sandy, you must be talking to people throughout the military. I do. I've got best friends, Navy SEALs that I talk to. And look, answer that question, please. That Dr. Peter Ventura just presented to the platform here.
So if we're talking about whether the military is awake to what's going on, I would say a great majority of them are awake. The problem is that 99% of them took the shots, and we're now thinking that there is some sort of a trigger that's going to occur that'll probably take them down. We're not sure what that trigger is. It could be 5G. So
it'll be 5G, if anything.
That's hanging over us. So, but in general, if the military is given an order to fire upon the civilians, they won't, because they know what the UCMJ says and everything else, the Uniform Code of Military Justice and all the other laws. The oath to the Constitution does not allow you to shoot on civilians, even if you're given an order. I can speak very greatly about many of the cadets at the Air Force Academy, and then I'm in contact with some cadets at Coast Guard Academy, West Point, Naval Academy, etc. And they are fully awake. And they said, if they try to give me a booster, I am out of here, even though they took the first 2 shots. Because they said that they felt like they had no choice, that they were willing to take the risk because they wanted a career in the military, which is freaking awesome, but sad at the same time that that's what their government was asking them to do, was to take a bioweapon shot. So to answer the question about the F-15s and the nukes, the way that you get around that is history, Mongol hordes. We've got so many people that are essentially just storming, like Brazil, if you guys were watching that, or Argentina, shoot, I forget now which one it was, where they they had their January 6th event on a different date, I believe, but they essentially stormed every single federal building, and the so-called president ran for his life. So, and it was the fraudulent one. So that is probably in our future, except because they don't have guns, but we do, it's going to be a way different story. And that's essentially what Patriots are doing right now, is buying enough ammo and et cetera for the day if it comes. We're hoping it doesn't, because we're hoping to get through this in a different way. But unfortunately, we are in a Truman Show right now, for those that know the movie. And if you don't, go on whatever movie website you're on and go rent it and watch it. The Truman Show. We are in that right now.
Yeah,
we are just being led down a path. The finding of the classified documents is a part of the path. They're just now, and some of it is reacting, which is a first, we believe, because some things are happening right now that are not according to their plan, and they are starting to react. That is an excellent turn of events for us. But is it going to turn the tide completely in our favor? I doubt it. But are those F-15 pilots going to actually drop bombs on civilians that are storming the capital of whatever state you want to say, or the actual capital? That's an iffy one. I don't know that they're going to do it because they all know the law. They were taught it when they went through basic training. So that's my take on it. I yield.
Thank you, Sandy. And Sandy,
can I add on to that, please?
All right, go ahead. Closing thoughts, because we got to get ready. They're going to cut us off here. We're in the overtime section of the show, so we got to go overtime. So everyone's going to get a couple minutes here. Go ahead, Sarge. You first. Go ahead.
Thanks. I'm pretty familiar with the punitive articles of the UCMJ and the history of the use of armed forces of the United States. And as we know, before they passed the Posse Comitatus Act, units of the United States Armed Forces, particularly the cavalry and others, were used to enforce civil laws in territories, certainly, although there were no martial law declared in any state ever, as far as I know in the history of the United States, not federally anyway. State martial law, certainly. But I know of nothing in the punitive articles which strictly forbids anyone from shooting on civilians, provided they are enemies of the United States in accordance with the Constitution. Now, again, I would certainly hope that members of the armed forces would not want to shoot at their fellow citizens. But given the history of the United States and the use of members of the armed forces in civil law enforcement prior to the passage of the Posse Comitatus Act, and particularly during Reconstruction after the Civil War, I just don't think that is actually strictly illegal, other than the fact that, since we have committed federal troops into riot situations, particularly in the 60s, and they were armed and they had ammunition, and sometimes they did fire back when they were fired upon. I just don't know if that's true. What I think we should count on is the judgment of individual soldiers not to obey patently illegal orders, and I would certainly hope that members of the armed forces would do exactly that.
Well, thank you, Sarge. Dr. Peter, I'm going down the line. Everybody's going to get 2 minutes. Everybody's going to get 2 minutes here. Just Dr. Peter Ventura, go ahead. You got 2 minutes here. Wrap it up.
I just want to say, as God's my witness here, we're talking, but I got drones coming up over my place, and they're sitting up on top of the mountain. They just sit there, and they come up every time I get on the program or I make calls. And I'd like to take a picture of it, but it's at a distance. It's just sitting here now. It just came up. It's just sitting. But I want to say this. I think that we need to pray for our nation. We need to pray for people to get their hearts right with God. And I believe that's the beginning of the greatest movement, is for people to peaceably assemble and to ask the Lord to lead us and to guide us through this, to give us the wisdom and the understanding and the courage to do what is correct and morally correct. And that's what I believe. And I believe that if we first get our hearts right, and then our community's falling behind with our hearts. And our hearts have to be right with God. And if God's going to bless anything and if God's going to do anything, it's because the people's hearts are right. It happened to Josiah. I said this before. They were told they were going to Babylon. And Josiah found the law of God, and he brought the people back, and he got their hearts right, and God blessed them. He gave them a reprieve. They still went to Babylon, but he gave them a reprieve. And I think that's our position. The greatest position for a patriot is on his knees before the Lord. And I just thank you all for your conversation tonight. Very enlightening, an awful lot to think about. I appreciate it, and I'll certainly be praying for you all.
Amen. Thank you. Sandy, you were the guest here tonight, so I want to give you the floor, and then Mike. Go ahead, Sandy.
I was just going to clarify a statement that was made earlier about the troops in the 60s and 70s. Those were the National Guard, because that's all that could be called out by the governor in those scenarios. There were no actual active duty as far as I'm aware.
Right.
And that's because they would not be able to be called, and they would not be able to act. In fact, the active duty troops, no, I take that back. It might only have been the Guard that was called to Washington, D.C., the 15,000 troops or whatever it was after January 6th. I believe those were also only National Guard, but I might be wrong. I have to confirm that, officially anyway. So I do have faith that our military brethren are going to stand firm and not follow orders like that. The only way that I would see them doing it is if they are actually corrupt and are being promised things. But even then, I think the people around them will take them out. So I have faith in that, and I will pray for that. I yield.
Joe, I'm sorry, Mike, you're first, then Joe, and then I want to say something here at the end that's very, very important. Go ahead, Joe, you want to say something here?
Or Mike?
Me or Mike?
What was it?
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, first of all, yeah.
Yeah, I've got 3 callers.
First of all, Joe, I wanted to make sure that I have your phone number. I don't know if I do, and because that would be nice to get a little Zoom meeting going with people who have completed the process that will help to validate status and jurisdiction. I know of several people. I know some people personally who have indicated they know people personally, so it's like a one generation away hearsay thing. But I'll try to put together such a show as soon as I can. Would you give me your number over the phone, or can I give you mine over the phone, Joe?
Who, me?
Joe. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Joe. Go ahead.
Yeah, give me your number
over the air here. Or? Okay.
Mike, give me your number. Mike, go ahead, Mike, give me your number.
Yeah, 305-910-6206. And if you will, after the show, Joe, just send me a message. Say, hey, it's Joe. Get, your first name, last name, and I'll have your number, and we can keep in touch. Other than that, forgive me. The name evaded me. The pastor that just spoke 2 people ago.
Dr. Peter Ventura.
Yeah, right, Dr. Peter. Just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Peter. I echo his sentiments. So that's what it's ultimately about, is people being moral and standing on the side of God and morality and what's right. So I really can't say much more than what he said, other than, again, status and standing. Very few people understand it. I heard a wise man a year ago say that is everything, and it took me quite a while to grasp it myself, because I was actually trying to just, not only understand all that, I was trying to understand other people and their movements and who's doing what and why are they opposed and why are they not all one and blah, blah, blah. It was just, a good year for me, but, to try to sort through it all. But it's really all come back to the first thing I heard one very wise man say: everything is about status and standing, and there is a process that you must go through fully and completely in order for it to be effective. And again, I threw out America's, with an S, America's -assembly, which is not any guru name that I would throw out. It's interesting because it's actually very neutral and just a great resource. It's what my 30-year-old son used, and he and I are currently going through the process using their forms. So with that, I yield. Again, thank you very much to Sandy for her great work, and thanks, Joe, for your show.
Thank you very much. And it's an important show. I think I still got the governor from Wyoming. Are you still on? Do you want to maybe give your final thoughts here on the podcast here tonight? Are you still there, area code 307? Maybe not.
Still here, sir.
All right, go ahead. You want to give your final thoughts here on tonight's podcast?
Yes. I would like to caution everyone to not be a shrinking violet. I want everyone to stop arguing. I want everyone to stand to. I want everyone to be aware of the fact that God Almighty is our creator and our leader. I want everyone to understand that being argumentative and pussified is not what God wants. Fear is not of the Lord. We stand to, we fight, and we fight to the death. life is not that precious that we would give up our freedoms. You put together your teams. You put together the constructs.
All right, I think I'm losing you there. He's going in and out on me. So he's going fading in and out on me. That's okay. He's out there in Wyoming. Way the heck out there. Mr. Henning, before I turn over the floor to you and Mr. Binder to pray us out. Look, tonight we had a very important in-depth conversation, obviously, and hard questions were asked. A lot of people ran away from the conversation here tonight, and I watched those numbers run away. You know, where are those true patriots? You know, some people have been standing with me for a long time. Others, they run away. Really, who's really at the bottom line of all this? God. Because God is the only, Jesus Christ is really my Savior. Only God is really going to stand with me at the end. I see this country falling apart. Is there any hope to restore our republic? If tonight's call was any example of that, then really we are doomed. Because like the last caller just said, we argue, we bicker, we're arguing about silly nonsense, declaring our status. I could declare my status all day long, my jurisdiction, whatever. The process, go through the process. You can't go through a process that's controlled by evil money changers. The Federal Reserve banking cartel controls every single aspect of your daily lives and the bartering system that we live by today. How can you escape the matrix of that? How can you? Am I going to go live on a mountain on a hill? Am I going to go live in a tree? Somebody's got some background noise there. Whoever it is. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mute every caller then if that's going to be the case there from that bottom line there, because I'm going to get my closing in this. Bottom line is this. I watched Patriots here walk away from this phone call here tonight that have been with me for a long time throughout this movement, and I'm a little bit ashamed to say that I stood with them now because now they've run away because there was a little disagreement or there was hard questions being asked here tonight. That's what I asked, the hard questions. And Joe, I want to thank you for calling in and asking those hard questions because you're darn right. If we're going to get to the bottom of the truth, stand for truth, and we're going to sacrifice everything that we had and what we're about, then we have to ask those hard questions. If that offends you, if truth offends you, if asking those hard questions offends you, then this is not your podcast to come to. And you know what? I'll stand out here by myself like I have been and doing this podcast if I have to. I've done it many times. But I know there's good brothers out there and good sisters out there that are of God and that understand our republic and that are willing to sacrifice everything they have and own for our republic. Listen, that's what I believe in, and I'm willing to do that. How we go about it, we've got to come to an agreement on because we're going every which way. We're this way, that way, and we're paralyzed. Like Dr. Ventura tells me, we're stuck in analysis paralysis here. And we're all punching up at the sky, fighting at the wind, punching ghosts. Who are we fighting? And meanwhile, they're hauling us all off to the prisons, and we're dying off, and we're getting sick, or this one's getting jabbed, taking the vaccination, 2 vaccinations. I'm not taking any more, but you already took the 2. Whatever. The bottom line is this, is that we've got to get our act together and stop this madness and really, really humble ourselves and communicate with those that are really, really believing in what we're doing right now, and that's restoring our republic lawfully, our de jure form of government, and that's what I believe. I wholeheartedly do. Mr. Henning, floor, I'm going to hand it over to you, or Mr. Binder, pray us out, please.
Thank you, Joe, for allowing us to come to your platform. And yeah, it's been very interesting conversations this evening. Lieutenant Colonel Sandy Mariaki, thank you, and God bless you. Thank you for stepping up into the Republic. We know that your heart is pure for that. America, again, go to republicforunitedstatesamerica.org. Educate yourself. I've heard some voices on this call that I encourage you also to go there and educate yourself a little more. But I'm going to yield, and Mark Binder, or Representative Binder from Iowa Free State, would you please pray us out?
He might be muted. He might be muted, or we might have lost him. So, does Dr. Ventura, somebody want to pray us out, please? We've got to have prayer here. I guess Mr. Binder left us.
Yeah, I'll close in prayer.
All right, pray us out, please.
Dear Heavenly Father, dear Jesus, thank you for this time we come together in fellowship as Americans, and we stand under your grace, dear God. We need to continue our faith in you and bring us together unified in your love. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. God bless. Next Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be here with the Republic, guys. It's your voice, your platform, and this is what it's all about.